SoD Phase 3 is here. Let's have a look at what we need to do to succeed as a Shaman enhancement tank. First up is getting our hit chance to 6%. In the Sunken Temple, the enemies and bosses are 2 levels above us, and this is the hit cap we need to try and achieve. The next one being strength, of course. Outputting more damage is pretty self-explanatory. The same going with stamina, helping give us more health and survivability. Agility is a pretty good all-rounder, which is actually going to give you some crit chance, some dodge chance, and some armor as well, which is fantastic. Crit chance, of course, again, another self-explanatory one, increasing the chance that we can do double damage on our attacks. Now, as a Shaman enhancement tank, there are a few other priority stats that we can look at, that being intellect, attack power, and defense. Defense isn't really that important for us anymore as an enhancement tank, and that is because of our Way of the Earth rune, where we cannot then be critically hit against. Attack power, increasing our damage again, and intellect is actually surprisingly important for Shaman tanks. It's going to give us more mana. We have our Shamanistic Rage rune that's going to help refill our mana. We're going to have more of it. And things like Earth Shock and spells like that are actually quite mana intensive. Not to say that it should be our top priority, but it is pretty good still. Now, of course, as an enhancement tank in Phase 3, we will be putting most of our talent points into the enhancement tree, starting off with shield specialization. We are going to be using a shield, we are a tank after all. Increases the chance to block attacks of a shield by 5%, and increases the amount blocked by 25%. Going down, we're going to put 5 out of 5 into Thundering Strikes, improving our chance to get a crit with our weapon attacks by 5%, and 3 out of 3 into Improved Lightning Shield, increasing the damage done by our Lightning Shield orbs by 15%. Going down one more after this, it's Anticipation, increasing our dodge chance by a whopping 5%, again very useful as a tank. And 5 into Flurry, increasing the attack speed by 30% for your next 3 swings after dealing a crit, therefore making crit even more favourable for us in Phase 3. You can go down one more and put 3 out of 3 into Elemental Weapons, increasing the melee attack power bonus of our Rock Biter weapon by 20%, our Wind Fury weapon by 40%, and increasing the damage caused by our Flame Tongue and Frostband by 15%, which of course is very, very useful. We are going to be using Rock Biter mainly as a Shaman tank. 5 out of 5 going into Weapon Mastery, increasing our damage by 10% across the board of all weapons that we're using, and 1 out of 1 into Parry, not just giving us a chance to dodge, but now also a chance to parry attacks as well. We're then going to finish off this tree with Storm Strike. It's a fantastic 20-second cooldown spell, giving us an extra attack. In addition, the next 2 sources of nature damage dealt to the target are increased by 20%, and this is going to last 12 seconds. We can see here we've got 8 points left. We're only at level 42. Where are we going to put those? I'm putting 5 out of 5 into Concussion, increasing the damage done by our Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, and Shock spells by 5%. Specifically on our Shock spells, this will be really, really fantastic. And then the remaining 3 into Elemental Warding, reducing some of the damage we're going to take from elemental attacks there. That then takes us onto the runes. On the gloves, it's going to be Molten Blast, blasting enemies in a cone in front of us for a ton of lavary fire damage. This ability generates a high amount of threat and therefore is perfect for Phase 3 tanks. The ability generates a high lot of threat. Flame Shock periodic damage has a 10% chance to reset the cooldown on Molten Blast. It's really, really good for burst threat. Remember, it's doing it in a cone in front of you, especially when you need to be getting AoE out and getting loads of trash mobs. The next one is going to be the chest, and we're going to go with Shield Mastery. This is going to really help with survivability and mana on large AoE pulls. So what does it do? Well, every time we block, we're going to regenerate mana equal to 8% of our maximum and gain armor up to 30% of our shield's armor value. This is actually going to stack up to 5 times, and you're always going to gain a 10% increased chance to block and 15% block value, which is really, really useful. It kind of goes without saying on that one. On the pants, this is the one I spoke about earlier, but in regards to not being able to be crit against, Way of Earth, while Rock Biter weapon is active on your main hand weapon and you have a shield equipped, you deal 50% increased threat, of course, for tanks, amazing. gain 30% increased health, take 10% reduced damage, gain 6% reduced chance to be critically hit against by melee attacks, and Earth Shock taunts targets to attack you and has a separate cooldown from other shock spells, but it has its reduced ranged to melee. So we're going to be using our Earth Shock as a taunt there. We can't be crit against, and we are going to be using Earth Rock Biter weapon on our main hand. On the boots, it's going to be Spirit of the Alpha. Now, one thing I will say is this can be given to you by another shaman. If it is, you should take Decoy Totem, which is a decoy taunt totem, basically. Spirit of the Alpha then infuses the target with the spirit of an alpha wolf, increasing all threat generated by the target by 45% for 30 minutes. You can put this on yourself. Limit one target. If cast on a target other than yourself, the shaman also gains the loyal beta. So if you are putting it on yourself, you're not going to get this bit. Increasing physical damage done by 5% and reducing all threat generated. Obviously, we don't want that for 30 minutes. You can't have both at the same time. Ideally, you are going to have another shaman put this on you, and then you can take Decoy Totem instead, so that you can do something else in your arsenal. But if not, then you can take it and just get the threat increase for yourself. On the waist, it's going to be Maelstrom Weapon. When you deal damage with a melee attack, you've got a chance to reduce the cast time and mana cost of your next spell, that being Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning, your healing spells, or Lava Burst by 20%. Chances increase by 50% when your main hand weapon is enchanted with Wind Fury weapon, and it does stack up to 5 times. On the new Phase 3 runes then, we're going with Mental Dexterity on the head. Dealing damage with your melee weapons increases your attack power by 100% of your intellect, and your spell damage and healing by 30% of your total attack power by 1 minute. This is going to massively increase your non-physical damage and help scaling with gear. And on the wrist rune, finally, we are going with Overcharged, where your lightning shield now never loses charges, which is massive. Now has a 1-second cooldown and deals damage to all enemies within 8 yards. Remember, we have also taken improved lightning shield, increasing the damage done by it. And for tanks, well, you'd have to keep reapplying that lightning shield. This is huge news. But the main question then, how does this all come together into the rotation we're going to be using? So first things first, of course, we're going to keep that lightning shield up. Remember, the charges aren't going to actually come off anymore, so you can pretty much just put it up and leave it there, and it is going to do AoE damage now, remember. Whenever you do reach 5 Maelstrom stacks, you can use your Chain Lightning, preferably with Storm Strike damage debuff up. And you do want to be using your Storm Strike on cooldown whenever you can. After that, we're going to be using our shock spells, so keeping our flame shock on the target or targets on cooldown as much as possible, and also using our earth shock as our taunt and to do some extra damage as well. You can use that on cooldown also. After that then, don't forget to obviously keep your totems up. Cast your Molten Blast. If you have runes, this is going to do a lot of extra threat gen. Remember, it's in a cone in front of you. Really great for trash packs, but also just good at doing damage as well. And then if you have got Flame Shock and everything, the last one you can be using is your Frost Shock instead. And that is pretty much going to be it, guys, for tanking as an enhancement shaman. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you do need any more help, of course, please do join the Discord. We've got a really friendly and helpful community who are always there, and you may even want to help out others as well. Who knows? If you want some more help from me, etc., you can join my Patreon with a ton of behind the scenes content, wow spreadsheets, and a secret Discord channel where you can ask questions in there, of course, and it helps support the channel, of course. And if you're looking for more SoD guides, check out my channel homepage here, where you can see there is a current class guides shelf. I always keep this up to date and remove any old guides so that it is always the most current ones for you. And you can see there is an SoD Phase 3 playlist. Thanks for watching and have fun in SoD.